Yo, what up, guys? Welcome back. Brodie Nero TV. You know what's up. Another banging interview. We keep it exclusive. We keep it fresh. I'm here with the one and only Maahez. What's up, my G?
That's right. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Loving the vibes out here.
Yeah, well, the first things first, man. I wanted to ask you, let's give them the PG-13 version. How has Bali been so far in the last few days now that you've been here?
So, first time in Bali. I was born in Havana, Cuba, so I'm an island person myself. And as soon as I got off the plane, it hit me. I just felt it, that island energy. But like something about Bali specifically, that there's something magical about this place. And I've heard a lot of hype before I came here, and now I get it. I understand it fully, and look at me keep changing my flight over and over because I guess Bali doesn't want me to leave, man. It's just incredible.
Yeah, nice, bro. I wish I could say I'm tired of it, but I'm not. I hear the same story from everybody that comes here. It's a magical place. People come, they don't want to leave. And more and more people in the industry are talking about it here. All the big talent are coming here. It's a really fast evolving place, for sure. Dude, first things first, before we get going, I have a sponsor. The name is Kenny Parker. It's an Australian-based clothing brand. They got a boutique shop here in Canggu. They heard you were coming through. They said they want to bless you. Normally they do like one gift for the guest, but today we got some extra for you.
Nice.
So peep it. Let me know what you
Kenny Parker. Wow. Oh, this feels real nice. Oh shit. Okay, we got a bag.
Yeah, shoulder bag.
Actually, I really need this.
That's straight up Bali vibes for sure.
And then we got this shirt. Wow.
Yeah, low pro graphic logo on there. Nice material,
it feels
oversized,
really soft, and it's exactly the type of stuff I wear. So
yeah, of course, every DJ black t-shirt, big black baggy t-shirt.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, bro. Shout out Trent. Love you, dude. Kenny Parker, you know what's up. Let's rock.
This here.
Yeah, no doubt. Bro, I wanted to ask you.
Sick.
So, Miss Fish, you came, you saw, you conquered. I wanted you to tell us a bit about this place. I'm totally biased. I work for the company. I'm deep with them. I love them. They're family. We're doing a lot of great things. But I wanted to hear from your side. What was the experience like starting from coming in and having dinner all the way through to your set, the crowd, energy, everything?
So first of all, the food just absolutely outlandish, out of this world. I was like blown away. Really enjoyed the food. And then as far as like the set, I didn't really know what to expect. I was just going off the vibe. And I just remember like since I played the first song, I just felt like people really engaged with my energy and I just kept seeing everybody dancing and having the time of their lives. And it's like I said, it's just like the energy out here is really special, man. So I was pretty impressed, and it being like not like a big room, and it's just like intimate and just such a vibe, man. And like I enjoyed it. I had a blast, and I was surprised to see people like really interested in like the music, my set, and like who I was and everything. So yeah, I had a blast, and to me like sometimes I play shows and like it usually takes, sometimes 20 minutes, 30 minutes for people to just get into it. And here, like right off the bat, they were just there for it,
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes when you're playing a new place, new sound, all that type of stuff, it takes a little bit to find your groove and for the people to understand who you are and where you're going to take them sonically speaking. But right from track one.
Also, I didn't know what people here like listen to or expect from a DJ in a venue like Miss Fish. So like I said, I was just like, I just dove right into it and I just went off like whatever I felt, and they seemed to love it. So it worked out, and people were just really having the best time ever, and I could see that,
Yeah.
You can sense it, like the energy is there. Sometimes I play and like, the crowd isn't as engaged, but it was absolutely amazing.
Oh, fire. I'm glad you feel that way, man. Like I was saying before we started recording that over the last year and a half of us bringing internationals, it's really clear in my mind now the sound that we want to have for that venue and for that room. And you really fit it well among a few other artists that we've brought. So, man, we're so glad you came. Look forward to bringing you back for sure. And Bali's always got a place for you, man.
Yeah, man. I was pretty impressed at like some of the feedback I got from some of the people there at the venue. Some people came up to me and they were like, someone said there's only two DJs that have ever made me really like become a fan. And they said it was you and Marco Carolla. So I was like, wow, okay. That's
Them
pretty
some big
serious.
words. Yeah.
That's pretty serious. And also like, I mean, I think that most people miss the fact that there's like two sides of DJing, right? You have like the technical side, like of DJing, but there's also, I feel like there's also a spiritual side of DJing, which is like, filling up the room with the energy and just curating a vibe that people could just feel. Um, it's a feeling. It's a vibe that is curated on an energetic level, not just like mixing songs. So here it's like you feel it even more. So
Yeah, nah, dude,
so
I
it's
love
great.
it. I love it. I feel the same way. It's a special thing, DJing beyond technicality. And also, this was something I was going to bring up a little deeper into the conversation, but now that you brought it up, spirituality, belief system, like I'm of the belief anyway that when people start to have major international success like yourself, it goes beyond just like hard work and hustling. Like you got to believe in something maybe bigger than yourself, a greater power, the universe, whatever. That all being said, who or what do you find that you yourself believe in? You consider yourself religious?
I mean, I don't consider myself religious. However, I do have a very close relationship with God, and this is something that's pretty new to me. I wasn't, I didn't feel like this before.
Wow. Like how
This,
new?
I would say like the past 2 years, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would you say that the timing of that has also synced up with more success you've been having, or did something
Yeah, well,
happen?
so
Or
I've been in the music industry for over a decade now, and
wow.
it took me like 10 years to experience even a little bit of success. And this was just before I even was an actual DJ and artist. I started as a producer, as a record producer, and I, worked my way up in the industry, producing for really big names, and
Oh, no way.
got nominated for a Latin Grammy in 2021. And I wasn't even doing electronic music. This was me when I was producing Latin trap, hip hop, and like reggaeton, stuff like that. And I was always passionate
Okay.
about electronic music, but it was always like a hobby. Like I would DJ some shit here and there, but I wasn't committed to becoming a DJ artist like I am now. This was something that I had to literally start from scratch. I gave up all the record deals and everything as a record producer, and because like it's just something inside of me was telling me like go for it, especially because I was lucky enough to meet DJs that started from zero, and I saw them go from nothing to some of the biggest stages and biggest festivals around the world and blowing
Wow.
up big time. So the my own homies like inspire me to just really say, you know what, like this is what truly makes me happy, and I think I have what it takes. So I left all this success that I could have had because I could have had all this money and all this success, but I wasn't gonna be happy. I didn't want to be stuck in a studio making beats for other artists, depending on
Okay.
labels, depending on artists and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to take full control of the music that I make, and just really make something that I feel the world will resonate with. And this
Wow.
was early 2022,
Okay.
and from there things started to fall into place. And I worked really hard, and I didn't really know much about house music. So I really had to dive into the history of house music, where it came from, how it came about. And then I started, being somewhat mentored by, people like Lee Foss, Matroda was a huge support, as well as Acraze. And I got into
solid
house
names.
music through tech house. But because I come from the Latin market, and my first electronic genre that I was really into was something called moombahton. This is when like dubstep was barely this becoming mainstream.
Okay.
And I feel like I was a big part of connecting a lot of Latin artists with DJs. So I helped connect like J Balvin with DJ Snake and a lot of these crossover projects that happened, during like 2017, 2018, around that time. I was kind of like making those links, and this is all behind the scenes. So
Right.
a lot of people don't know this, but I connected a lot of DJs with reggaeton artists, and that's how all these collaborations and crossovers started happening, as well as hip hop. And I've always been all about music, man. But I feel like when I started it to just focus on one genre and just focus on one thing, it's when everything started to flourish the way I always wanted. Because I felt like before, yeah, I had somewhat of success, but I was just all over the place, man. I wanted to do it all. And sometimes when you got so much going on, you don't focus on one thing. It's hard to really gain that momentum.
I feel that. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, dude. That's so crazy. I didn't know.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. I didn't know the depth of your involvement in the industry pre DJ producer.
Correct.
Being more full on. And just a quick backstory. So I'd seen your name in passing and I was aware of your music and a bit about what you were doing, but I really started listening to you when I first met Dean Walker, who you have a bunch of collaborations with towards the end of last summer. And the first project I heard of what you're doing now was the Papi, which went #1 on Beatport, which I play. I play both those songs almost every set since last summer, straight up. But one song, bro, that still rocks the room every time I play it, fucking Polvito.
Wow.
Bro.
I thought you were going to say Matadora.
Bro, Polvito.
Yes.
And now I completely understand, because when I try to analyze that song and say what type of song it is, I can't put it in Afro House. I can't put it in Tech House, but it totally, the logic and whatever it is, however you want to categorize it, makes sense based on your history and what you told me, your origin of sound.
So it just happens that during my transition from producer to artist, DJ, it just happens that it was the perfect timing for me to transition, right? Because it just happens that around this time is when Latin tech house starts to blow up crazy big.
Okay.
And then here comes Afro House, and then Afro House with the Spanish vocals, and then I see all these DJs using Spanish vocals. And I'm like, man, I'm coming from producing reggaeton music. I grew up on reggaeton and perreo and shit like that.
Yeah.
So me, I was always about like mixing cultures and blending these sounds, and that's why for me it was easy to just take, my influence from all these Latin sounds and flavors and just put the electronic house spin on it, and it's just worked. I mean, I started doing a lot of bootleg remixes, putting them on SoundCloud.
Okay.
And it started taking off. I was able to see the data, and I see DJs from all over the world downloading my remixes, and then from there I started, featuring artists using original vocals and collaborating with Latin artists with just as Maahez featuring Jen Morel, Primo, or and stuff like that. So I'm working on bigger collaborations now, and people seem to really, really like it. So
yeah, man, I can't say enough about the song Polvito. Like, it just made me such a hardcore fan. And like when I was even watching, so there's a YouTube set of me playing in Miss Fish from my party She's With Us, and it comes on automatically on my YouTube channel. And even I've had that video posted for like 3 months, and I've been listening to Polvito since last summer. And even this morning at like 8 a.m., I didn't even have my coffee yet, and the drop comes, and then it comes in, the crowd goes crazy, giving me goosebumps, bro. At 8 a.m., still that song. It just slaps, bro.
I was so surprised that Hugel hits me up, and he was like, yo, I'm opening my set at EDC Las Vegas with that song. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah.
So he actually brought me out and had me open his set with Polvito. And it's crazy because, like, the song is not even on his label, but he's been a huge support, you know. I was hitting him up, like, because obviously he was a huge influence for me, and seeing, you know, how he's putting this sound on the map worldwide. And at first he didn't really pay attention to me, but, you know, I kept knocking on that door until he finally listened, and now he's like one of my biggest supporters, and you know, it's like the biggest cosign I could get right now. So shout out to Hugo.
Yeah, shout out to Hugo for real, man. He's the cosign on my podcast, the cosign on your career right now. So it's a good look for both of us, man. Wow, that's crazy. So all that being said, bro, all this background, multi-genre, Latin, reggaeton, Afro, tech house, EDM, everything. How would you describe your sound now and the direction you want to take things?
One word. Sexy.
Sexy.
The biggest vibe in the world, man. That's what we're curating, and I feel like electronic music evolves really fast, right? So you always got to be ahead of the game, and what happens is that once something becomes hot, everybody follows that sound, you know. So I feel like I'm at a point where I'm taking that step forward to have the balls to be a leader and to say, I'm not going to follow any trends. I'm not going to try to sound like anything. I'm just going to do what I feel. And then people are going to follow that, you know. And I feel like there's a lot of wave riding in the scene right now. Everybody just wants to hop on the wave that's hot. But I feel like when you just make something from the heart with love, people gonna feel it, and then that becomes what people want to follow. So
yeah.
So I think that after, you know, all these releases I have out, I'm becoming a little bit more open to take risks and to make things that, as long as it comes from the heart and it's made with love, I think that, you know, people feel that and people gravitate towards that, and it's time to just start to set the tone, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. Actually, it reminds me of a quote, because I was looking at previous interviews you had, and there was a clip where you were talking to some girl on a couch, and you said something that really stuck with me. I wanted to mention the podcast, which was, and you pretty much just said it now, was you have to do what feels real and authentic to you, and that's going to lead you to greater things. And people will resonate with that.
Authenticity. Be yourself.
Say it. Say it. Say it.
That's the best advice I could give. Cause yeah, man. Cause think about this. Like, no one can. Everybody's so special. Like, you know, we all have our own story, our own perspective on things. So the more unique you can be, the better. Because at the end of the day, subconsciously, that's what people appreciate the most.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend from Toronto who's like a huge international celebrity chef now on the podcast too, and he said, you know, as small-minded and as petty as some people can be online with the shitty comments and that type of stuff, negative vibe, people can smell realness and they can smell fakeness.
Facts.
So if you're not keeping it 100 online, eventually, he said, people will sniff you out. They'll know you're a fraud.
It's true, and at the end of the day, the audience makes the artist.
Facts, bro. Yeah.
If the audience isn't fucking with you, you know.
Wow.
It's just, that's what it is. So I feel like 100% people sense when something is not genuine, when it's not real.
Yeah.
And, you know, I keep it as real as it can be.
Straight good.
No filters.
Straight good.
No bullshit.
No doubt. No doubt. Man, so I did a little bit of due diligence, looked at your catalog, your discography, went as far back as a release from 2016, Bring Me the Fire.
Wow.
We went way back, way back. And I'm always like, the theme and the idea around this podcast for me and what I'm trying to, like, I have my selfish benefits from this podcast, which is I want to learn from other people and contribute to my own personal career and grow. And then, of course, I want to give the audience a whole bunch of gems to work with and evolve themselves. So that being said, I'm curious, from 2016 and here we are in 2025, I want to know about the work ethic that you had to commit to propel yourself from then until now. I want to go as specific and as granular as how many days a week were you spending in the studio? How structured were you? What type of things were you avoiding? Disciplines, mindset, that type of stuff, if you could share.
Absolutely. I feel like the first thing I got really good at was networking. Um, you know, living in Miami and being exposed to all this cultural diversity, and a lot of the industry is based out of Miami. So I always found ways to just put myself at the right place at the right time. Any events where I knew, the right people were gonna be at, I found a way to get there, even if I had to sneak in. I was there. I was shaking hands. I was talking to people, meeting people. And then as I got older, I lost that, because at first, like, I was very outgoing and just very what's the word, very social person. But as I got older, I became less and less social and like more and more introvert. So I feel like now I'm trying to get myself back to how I was when it all started, because that's literally how I got into the industry, just like getting out there and like just meeting people, going up to people, hey, I want to do this, like I want to be part of this. And funny enough, I met Pitbull. He was the first like artist that I met. Damn, and this is when he was Mr.
Names.
This is when he was Mr. 305. He wasn't even Mr. Worldwide yet.
Okay.
And I have a picture. I'll send it to you so you can put it on here. But I met Pitbull. Pitbull put me in contact with his engineer. And then I went to his studio in Little Haiti. And then from there, I just, I met Will Madera, and then I met his team and more people from Mr. 305. And then from there, like, I just kept going down the rabbit hole, meeting more and more people and working. And, I would even, sometimes I would see an artist post like a picture in the studio, and I would just pull up, and be like, yo, what's up? I'm here,
Wow.
and yeah, like that, just, and always working, man. Like, yes. I had all kinds of jobs, man. I couldn't keep a job, and I hated all of them. But I was always on Ableton, always working, always creating, always making songs.
Okay.
And one thing about me is like I didn't care about nothing else but to becoming successful as a musician. Wow. So that was like, I was always so passionate about it that it's like I didn't give myself another option. So it was like, this is what I'm good, because I knew I'm good at it, right? But it's not easy because it's such a saturated, and there's so much competition that is so difficult to just really even get a shot. But I just kept knocking every single door I could and just kept sending songs. And yeah, like it takes a lot, man. Like I don't think people realize. People see it from the outside and they think, oh yeah, like I can just learn how to DJ. But like it takes so much more, man. It goes really deep, and it takes a lot of work. The right people around you, the right team. I've been through hell, man. I've been through hell and back with this shit. So
wow.
So yeah, I definitely put in the hours. I can tell you that.
Yeah. So networking is key. Working different jobs that you weren't a fan of, but you did it to make money, obviously, and be self-sufficient.
You have to stay afloat. You got to make a living,
and then when it comes down to the production itself, so when you say you're knocking on doors, you're meeting all these people, obviously you got to have something to say and potentially something to show. So from a work standpoint and productivity standpoint, was it like every day you were putting in X amount of hours to develop new demos, new concepts, all that type of stuff to share?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm always making something new, going on the next. I make a song, I'm like, okay, next one. It's a never ending game, like for me, it's always like finding inspiration, getting on Ableton, I would say getting in the studio, but sometimes like you don't even got a studio, just put on the headphones and cook up. wherever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it comes down to just believing in yourself, working hard, and just knocking on the right doors, man. And eventually, when one opens, it usually leads to another, and so on. So like, it's just finding yourself in the music is the hardest part.
Like finding your identity?
Yeah, I feel like finding your sound, finding your own something that is like, okay, like you just hear a song and like you could almost tell like, oh, I know this song sounds like whatever artist, right? So I feel like that takes a lot of time to kind of get the ball rolling and kind of finding your sound. But once you find your sound, um it's how you develop it, how you grow from it, and how that, unfolds. And you always got to be evolving to be able to stay relevant. Because one thing is like, yeah, you can make a hit, but like it's not making a hit. It's like how you keep it, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's just like finding that sound that resonates with you, and building from there.
Right, right. So now that you feel that, do you feel like you found your sound now? Like you have like the Maahez identity, sonically speaking?
I mean, I would say yes, but I'm always finding ways to innovate, right? So I'm always looking for ways to do something that hasn't been done.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the core sound is there, the roots are there, and going back to the record you just mentioned, "Bring Me the Fire," that was like the first song ever that got support from like Major Lazer
Oh, okay.
and like that back in the days. So it was known as Moombahton. But funny enough, Moombahton is pretty much the old version of what it is of what Afro House is now. So basically, the sound of what we call Afro House now is just an update from Moombahton. So that's why it makes so much sense. It's, or I would say like Latin house. Latin house has been around for many years, but I'm saying the Latin house that's popping now, that's popular now, is what Moombahton always wanted to be. It was just not known as like people don't know what Moombahton is. It wasn't like it was mainstream, but it wasn't like a known genre like Afro House is, because the people are ready for it now. You see, I've been making this for so long, and now it's called Afro House or Latin tech or Latin house.
Yeah.
And I feel like all these subgenres is all bullshit, man. It's all house.
Right.
It's all just house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy because, like I said, I've when I share Polvito with other people, I'm like, because I think on Beatport it's categorized as Afro House, but I shared it with another producer. He's like, man, this is like tech. This is tech house. I was like, really? I was like, it's way too fucking groovy, and got way too much like ethnic vibes and tribal vibes and groove to like be tech house.
Well, what's happening right now in electronic music is I feel like a lot of genres are blending with each other. Like indie dance is mixing with Afro House is mixing with tech house is mixing with melodic techno.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is just blending with each other, and
it's true.
And people have to categorize it for Beatport purposes. But other than that, it's all house, man. It's all house music, and I feel like house music, I love it so much because exactly for that reason, it just can be blended with anything. You can blend house music and hip hop. You can make house music and reggaeton. You can mix house music with anything, and I think that's what Maahez is all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. True. You can hear it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
The evidence is there through the music. Cool, bro. So given where you're at now, again, I'm curious, like, to really understand and study success. On an average week, let's say, how do you structure things? Like, what does an average week look like for you? Like, are you in the studio every day? Are you trying to cook every day? Do you leave days for admin, social media strategy, that type of stuff? What does it look like for you?
Yeah, so, I mean, it usually depends on how I feel in the moment. Like, I don't really plan my weeks or my days, but I do structure it in a way where I'm spending certain amount of time on building my own label, which I'm about to launch, which is a project I'm really excited about.
Okay.
You know, working on my merch, and then working on new music, and then working on strategies, and then working on content.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in a day and age where like you can't just be a DJ, you know. And I feel like
It's true.
people have no sense of strategy, right? When it comes to building a brand as a DJ, right? So this is something that I learned not even that long ago, where I realized that if you really put in the time on working on a solid strategy, you will succeed.
Wow.
But you got to really think about it. And when I mean strategy, is like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then after is going to lead to this. And why is it called a story on Instagram? Why is it called follow me? Like, why do we follow each other? So if you listen to those words, if you give people a story and something to follow, then they will follow you. But if there's no strategy, there's no narrative, there's no story, what are they going to follow? It's just a bunch of random pieces of content that doesn't lead to anything.
Yeah.
So once I understood that concept, I'm like, oh shit, wait a second.
Yeah.
I gotta think about what I'm posting today, what I'm gonna post tomorrow, and what I'm gonna post the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And then everything is gonna be like building a narrative, telling a story, and then people will have actually something to follow.
Yeah.
So when I understood that, I'm like, oh shit, okay. So that was like a big like wow moment for me, to just really like, oh, I know exactly what I got to do and how I got to do it. And it's all about the strategy, man. And not just like building a brand as a DJ, but building a clothing brand. But any entrepreneurship, I feel like without a strategy, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, it's like shooting with a blindfold on.
Exactly.
It's just bullets, straight bullets going everywhere, and no target.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, no, like we say, like when you're lost, for example, like in a forest or something, they say follow the North Star. You know, so you know you're going towards something. It's like you everybody's like, well, I want 1 million followers, but where are you taking them?
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel it. So it sounds like you leave your day-to-day open to seeing how you're feeling, not forcing yourself to do anything.
Sometimes if I feel like working on new music because I feel inspired, I'm gonna work on new music because I feel inspired. If I feel like, oh shit, you know, I need to work on this merch because I got this and that going on, or like I need to you know, update the website, or like, you know, maybe, you know, I'm always working on something. I'm always improving. And I feel like something that really helps me do that is, how can I enhance? So I'm building multiple things, right? And I'm always looking at, okay, I got this far with this project. How can I enhance it? How can I make it better? So that's what I'm asking myself every day, constantly. And even like building my label, which is eventually is going to be hosting its own parties, right? And I'm thinking like, okay, when I go to parties, right, where I go to events or festivals, I'm like, how could this be enhanced? And then I start coming up with ideas, and then I ask myself how far I can take it until we curate the best it can be, you know? So I'm always looking to, how can I enhance my label? How can I enhance my merch? How can I enhance the song I'm working on? And you know, that's it. It's always growth, evolving, innovation, and making things better and growing.
Yeah, cool. I love it, man. A lot of gems in there. So you leave room to let your actions have actual inspiration behind them, but then you also, regardless of how you're feeling, there's a general direction and strategy you have.
Yeah, I mean, because like, you know, sometimes I wake up and I don't feel like working on music. So I'm going to focus on my label admin side, you know, like, you know, all the things that come with building a record label. Sometimes I don't feel like working on label and like on like admin stuff, or like just that type of like data and coding and stuff like that. So I'm gonna focus on making music. You know, it's like, it's really depends on how I feel, but I try to just balance it. So, you know, every area of this thing that I'm building, which is eventually it's about building a community at the end of the day. So I feel like whether it's a clothing brand or a record label or an event company or an artist brand, it's really just about the culture and the community and the experience. So that's my goal, is to build something that is special to me, but also special to people, because I want to create the ultimate vibe.
I feel it. I feel it. That's what's up, man. Bro, so I've seen some clips online playing beside Diplo. I saw a flyer, I think soon. I think you already have, but again, you'll play with Benny Benassi. And you've named a bunch of big names like Hugel, what was the other one? Major Lazer. And I've seen you play for massive crowds. How have those experiences impacted you? Like when you come home after standing beside and playing with Hugel, or you see your name on a flyer with a Benny Benassi, what type of feelings do you get? Is it accomplishment? Is it confidence, motivation? How do all of those experiences contribute to you and push you forward?
I mean, I don't feel nothing.
For real?
I just look at it. I'm like, okay, I gotta post this thing and then just fly over there and do what I do.
Wow.
But I mean, I guess to me it's super random, because I remember seeing Benny Benassi for the first time when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I think it was an Ultra Music Festival, and first time I heard his song Satisfaction, I was really young, man. So like playing shows with him was definitely a trip, and like I never expected that to happen the way it did. So I mean, it does. I feel a bit confused about it, because I'm like, how did this even, like, I'm like, wait, what?
How did I get here? Yeah.
How did I get here? But I mean, no, it's definitely like, it's cool to have the OGs like look at your work and say, yo, I fuck with this, and I met him, and he was standing behind me, like watching my set, listening to the songs, and then after he was like, yo, I really like this song, or like he came out, he was plugging in his USB, and he was like, yo, what is this song? And I was like, it's mine, ID, unreleased. And he was like, send me that,
Wow.
So that means a lot more than just being on a flyer,
Got you. Yeah, I feel it. Can you recall, it's another question I really love to ask, I call it career defining moments. So if you could share a moment with us when you knew your position was really solidified in the industry, like you're like, yo, I'm really here and it's really popping. It could be a moment you're on stage with a lot of people, a call, a text, a DM, a cosign, a contract. Like share with us.
So when I moved to LA about 6 years ago, I started going to all these Insomniac festivals in California, Southern California. And that's when I started to really like dive into the festival culture, the rave culture, right? And I was checking out every house music set that I could, and really just analyzing and looking at the crowd, right? And then I remember my first time ever at Burning Man, right before I lost service, because there's no service over there. I'm looking at my phone, and I had just received the contract for my first release with Insomniac Records, which was the song Tequila with San Pacho.
Wow.
And I remember being at Burning Man and getting that contract, and just thinking like, oh shit, like here we go.
Yeah.
And from there, that's where everything started, pretty much blowing up.
Dude, that's nuts. Like you're on the brink of going offline into like
I'm about to go off the grid for a week.
Yeah, I haven't been to Burning Man, but I can only imagine the moments before you're like, wow, I'm stepping into the Matrix or out of the Matrix.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going off the grid for a week.
Yeah.
And right before I get the email, and I get the email with the contract, and I was like, damn, like, I was like, shit, like, this is it, because that song really, that was the first time I got 1 million streams, from my own song, like, as an artist. So
Crazy.
Yeah, I feel like that was the moment where I was like, okay, like, this is it's only going up from here. And
Wow.
yeah. And then Burning Man was life-changing experience, and from there, it was super inspiring, and I feel like that was a jump start for me to really just take it from there.
Yeah. Did you come back like full on beast mode after Burning Man? Like in terms of like just wanting to get in the studio, push things forward.
It was mixed feelings because I was exposed to so much music at Burning Man that I've never heard before.
Oh.
So I was like, man, now I want to make stuff like this, or like, so it's like I said, I'm such a big fan of music in itself that I have to constantly remind myself, like, stay in your lane, like, stay in your sound, because I just want to go all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And my brain subconsciously wants to make this and wants to make that, and now, like, so I get a lot of inspiration from so many different waves and styles and genres, right? And so the main thing for me is like, no, Maahez, like, this is your sound, like, stick to it, stick to one sound, because think about it, when I play a set, like, you want to make sure that set, like, sounds like takes you on a journey, right? So I want to play a show when the time comes where I'm like headlining a show and I'm playing all my music. It makes sense to put all my songs in my set, right? Because then it would be songs that could fit one set but not the other, and then there's no coherence. So I feel like focusing on having a coherent set that just each song just blends perfectly with the other is super important to me, because that's how you build your brand, and that's how people can identify you and say, oh, I'm not missing my headset because it's the ultimate vibe.
Wow. So is this your mindset when you're approaching production too, is like making sure that whatever you're making, like for example, like say you have 10 EPs planned to release in 2025, just hypothetically speaking, is it important to you that all of these projects can be played within the same set?
To an extent, yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't want to box myself into just one genre. As a musician, I feel like I want to have the freedom to make whatever I want, whatever I feel, but also think about when I play a set, right? And I play all my songs, I would want them to kind of be able to mix with each other in an artistic way, so that people could really be like, wow, like, that's art, So I keep that in mind. Doesn't mean that I can't do a collaboration with something that's a little bit left field,
right?
Or, for example, this is the first time I'm saying this, by the way, but I'm working on my album, my debut album, which will be dropping June 20th on my own label, which will be the launch of my label. So I'm actually launching my own label with my debut album.
Crazy. This year?
Yes.
Wow.
And this album, has songs that are different, but it's a body of work that I'm super proud of, and I love every single song in it. And a project like this, like my first album, I don't want every song to be exactly the same, for example, right? But other than that, I try to keep it coherent and consistent, so that when I do play sets, every song can be easily mixed together and just sound like a vibe that's not gonna throw people off,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a good example on a much smaller scale of that is like the Papi album. Like both of the songs,
exactly,
or the EP rather,
they're mixed perfectly. They
mix
same
harmonically.
Key.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but also they have their own identity.
Yeah.
Project's fire. Nice, bro. Dude, a moment ago, you mentioned merch, which we wanted to talk about. You're rocking it right now. And it also leads me to something I want to speak about, because I had to read it twice to understand. And of course, we can talk about it now. So the Maahez community, the fan base, right? Alien Gang. I see you tagging UFO emojis, alien emojis, all this type of stuff. And then I thought I read somewhere, I think it was on the Insomniac website under your artist bio, something about like UFO experiences or encounters or something like this. And I was curious, like, is this part of your story? Did you have some interesting experiences? Can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, so I'll tell a little bit about that. So basically, I was born in Cuba, right? But for example, my grandpa, he's American. He actually moved from California to Havana when he was 14 and just stayed there, married my grandma. So I'm like, everybody that's Cuban that lives in the United States, their grandparents are Cuban and then they're first generation American. So I'm actually the opposite. Like, my grandpa's American and then I was born in Cuba.
Okay.
So I've always felt like I was like an alien, right? And there's a drawing I drew when I was like 3-4 years old. And I drew like spaceships flying over a hill. And this is without me knowing anything about anything. And I always felt this weird feeling about, like, when I look at the stars at night, it's just like, oh, like, that's home, you know? And like, for some weird reason, like with no explanation,
Crazy.
I always had this obsession with like the E.T. movie and anything that had to do with space. And I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid. And these are something that till this day, I can't really explain why or how. But when I lived in Mexico for portion of my childhood, and I used to go to this little town called Tepoztlan, which was the first time I actually saw a UFO. And ever since then, I kept seeing UFOs everywhere, and I have a ton of videos of UFOs on my phone. And
come on,
and it's something that, you know, I didn't really want to like be putting it out there, but then I was like, you know what? And then actually I started watching every documentary out there on UFOs and aliens and stuff. And then I actually got connected with Stephen Greer, who's the person that briefed the president of the United States on UAPs and UFOs, the classified documents.
Come on.
And yeah, so I'm pretty deep into the whole like ufology and stuff like that, and I got to learn a lot about the subject and what's really going on and the whole what's real, what's not real, and it goes pretty deep. But I figured because Maahez ultimately, like, Maahez is an alien, you know.
Oh, okay. Is that what the origin of the name and the inspiration? Oh, okay.
I mean, Maahez came because I came up with Maahez for two reasons. One was because I was watching Ancient Aliens, which is a show, and on History Channel, and they're talking about a character in ancient Egyptian mythology named Maahez that was depicted as a lion as a human with the head of a lion. And I was like, oh, that's cool because like I'm Leo and like this, it was a really cool story behind it. And he was a warrior and stuff like that. So then I was like, oh, that'd be a cool name for my DJ name, right? And I was like, oh, Maahez, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
And then I remember my first tour as a DJ, which was actually like as a tour DJ for Latin artists in Honduras. And I get there, and then everybody's saying, yo, Maahez. And I'm like, how do they know? Yeah. And then I'm like, yo, everybody knows me here. Because I was already thinking that was going to be my DJ name. But at the time, I didn't really have it defined. So I didn't even have a DJ. I was already thinking like Maahez should be a cool name.
Yeah.
So I get to Honduras for my first time, never visited there for this tour. And everybody's like, yo, Maahez. It turns out that the way they say bro or dude or homie, it's Maahez. So it's just stuck.
Crazy coincidence, yeah.
Crazy coincidence. So I was like, okay, I guess Maahez it is. And it's also the first two letters of my name and the last two letters of my last name. So I was just like, Maahez it is. And then that was that was in 2014, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, so couple questions. I think it's really cool how like life changing and interesting, unique experience have helped you create an identity as an artist. And you've also been able to use these experiences to help influence and inspire the whole concept of growing your community. It comes from a place that's real. It's not like, oh, let's call my fans aliens. No, like there's like a real cool backstory to it. And I'm also curious, like, because man, Hugel told this crazy experience about like telekinesis and how like he watched this YouTube video and it inspired him and like it helped his mind move material things and like that experience gave him shifted his subconscious to make him believe bigger in his life, which then put him on a trajectory to success. So I'm curious now, do you think that some of these experiences with UFOs and things you've learned, have they helped you see the world in a different way and maybe walk with more confidence because you know the world's bigger than we see it on a day-to-day basis? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely gave me more of a global mindset than rather than a local mindset, you know.
Wow. Big.
And just looking at the world from a alien perspective, like, dude, imagine aliens in a spaceship pulling up to Earth, like, you know, like that's how I feel, you know. But at the same time, I feel super connected with different cultures around the world, and I'm always open to learn about, like, you know, all there is to learn about languages, cultures, food, music. And I love learning and listening to music from different parts of the world and implementing into my music. And I love traveling, and you know, this is my first time being on this side of the world, so I'm just like having the best time ever.
For sure you are.
And yeah, I mean, I think that these UFO experiences have a huge impact and influence on not just my personal life, but how I make music and how I visualize my project evolving and getting out there, you know.
Nice, no doubt. Super cool, dude. Couple questions left, man, as we work towards the end of the podcast here. So you were where you were in 2016 when Bring Me the Fire came out. You are where you are now with Cocotte out, flying the other side of the world, burning down Miss Fish in Bali, amongst some great names, having success, making the money you're making, work on the stuff you're working on. What does the next level look like for you? And what do you think it's going to take to achieve that? What type of discipline, work ethic, etc.?
The next level for me, I think it's definitely like establishing my record label, because I wanted to be a platform to put you know, new talent on, and just, you know, following the blueprint that like basically like the formula that just makes sense. And you know, I look at what Hugel is doing with Make the Girls Dance. I see what, you know, what Diplo's doing with Higher Ground, or what Blondish is doing with Abracadabra. You know, it's all pretty much the same concept, and it's like, you know, building a hub that, you know, can that revolves around that community. You know, so I feel like establishing my record label, which is really just an excuse to throw parties. And
He's
because
keeping it real right now.
the goal is to throw a party that is just the ultimate vibe, you know, and that party is going to be hosted by my record label in partnership with production companies, you know, and I want to take that around the world. It's going to be called Pantheon, the Pantheon parties. And it's really mixing the theme of like ancient cultures and like that Greek mythology or Egyptian mythology, or stuff like that, Atlantis, and kind of give it that theme of mixing the past with the future, and that kind of what the music sounds like, and hookahs, and you know, and bottle service, and you know, the I want to create a party that's very unique, that's different, that just feels like you know, scenic views, special locations. And I want to take this party around the world, and like look what they're doing at the pyramids, look what they're doing, you know, like Zamna and Tulum and stuff like that. So, yeah, like shout out Casa Alta. I think that's gonna be one of the partners as well. That's been like super supportive of my project as well. And yeah, like we just want to build and curate a vibe that's really special, and that as soon as you walk in, it's like, wow, what is this? And like that's what I wanted to feel
What
like, you know.
planet are we on? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of like the next level for me, man. It's just, getting this label popping, signing new artists, and releasing my own music as well, starting to build my own catalog. And of course, I'm always going to be working with other labels and stuff, but
Hmm. Hmm.
just building my label, building my parties, and taking it around the world, man, and bringing the vibes to everybody and spread love.
Yeah. Yeah. Dig it. Nice, bro. Well, good luck with it. I'm sure you'll crush it. All right, bro. The last question of the day. Okay. I ask it every single episode. So imagine the Maahez back in 2016, pre-signing Bring Me the Fire, because that was signed to a major label, right?
Um, that came out on Frank and Mendico's label that at the time had a pretty big buzz
Okay.
in,
Okay.
in the in the global bass scene.
Hmm.
And so he actually, Frank was what the main engineer for Major Lazer, worked with Steve Aoki, Diplo. So he
Crazy.
was like the go-to mixing and mastering engineer for all the big EDM artists at the time. And he created that label to give us a platform for us to, basically, the new generation, to be able to get out there.
Ah, okay.
And then that's how I got into like EDC Mexico, and
Okay.
and that's when things started like popping up for me. But again, I had no strategy. I had no sense of, like, I didn't really know what I was doing.
Right.
I was just making music that I liked, and
Yeah.
I was also focusing on being a producer, not being an artist. So that's why I feel like if I would have kept going during that time and just focused on being an artist, I would have been in a whole different level by now. But sometimes, like, you just go with whatever environment you put yourself in. And for me, like, I wasn't that into like becoming a DJ. Like, I've been a DJ for so long before it was cool to be a DJ. But
Hmm.
for me, it was like, no, I want to be in the studio with the big stars. I want to be a
Hmm.
record producer, and I was to look up to, like, all these big record producers, from Benny Blanco to Scott Storage to Nelly. I'm talking about reggaeton Nelly.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yeah, man. So I was just more gravitating towards that, and the DJ stuff was just something like more like as a hobby I did for fun.
Okay.
And I didn't know that later down the road I was gonna ditch everything I built just to become a DJ again. So
Oh, crazy.
so yeah,
Okay.
man.
Okay. So all that being said, so it's still applicable here, I believe. So imagine you're that Maahez in 2016 with like dreams and aspirations of going from like local to global, right? Going international, becoming much bigger, going to that, like breaking through that next threshold, let's say. And everything you've learned from 2016 till now, what would you say are a few gems of advice you could give to an aspiring DJ producer that's out there right now in their local city,
Mhm.
you know, booking a couple local residencies, they've maybe released some songs on some smaller labels, indie labels, but no big breakthrough yet.
Mhm.
What's a few gems of advice you could offer them? It could be related to strategy and marketing, it could be
Mhm.
work ethic, mindset, belief system, anything you can put together.
Gems I'm about to drop are that I would say focus on making music, a lot of music, and send it to DJs, man. Send it to a lot of DJs. Sometimes I check my email, some random kid from somewhere just sends me a track, and I hear it and I like it. I'll play it in my set, and then you never
Okay.
know what can happen from there. So, like, I would say send it. Make sure whatever you send, it's up to the level that, like, you got to be confident, but you also got to be realistic,
Hmm.
in the sense of, like, if you have a song that you really think a DJ would drop it, you also got to, like, know, find your lane, find where you fit in. I feel like right now there's a lot of hype on indie dance, for example, but all these indie dance artists that are blowing up right now, they're all Israelis. Miyagami, Adam 10. um it's like an Israeli gang going on there. So they're all supporting each other. They're all growing. They're all blowing up together, you know?
Mhm.
So I feel like, same with Hugel and Make the Girls Dance, you know? It's more about like, we all have this family vibe going on within the label, and we're all collaborating with each other. I met Dean Walker because of Hugel, you know?
Okay.
So just like, focus on finding where you fit in, where your music has the ability to grow within that circle, and just establish yourself, and just keep putting out bangers and send them over to the DJs that fit with that sound, and just kind of like find your home, find your sound, find your community, find your tribe. And once you have that, like, you start supporting each other, helping each other, and that's how you can really get ahead of the game and just really start flourishing as an artist.
Yeah, dig it. Big gems there. Cool, my man. Appreciate you. Well, dude, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you. Appreciate you coming all the way to Bali. I had a good feeling, the fact that I've been playing your music almost every set since last year in Miss Fish, that you'd be a good booking for Miss Fish. It all worked out. It looks like the island is loving you, accepting you. You keep changing your ticket. You're still here. Who knows when he's leaving? We still don't know. Maybe Monday. We're not sure.
Definitely Monday.
Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. And good luck with your project, the label, everything. Congrats on your ongoing success. More power, more strength this year, and just keep doing your thing, bro.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. You can find the merch at maahez.com. It was inspired by my friends, my homies, and the rave community. So make sure you guys check it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, thank you so much for having me.
All love. Appreciate you guys watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next episode. Love.
Peace.